Hey, I'm Carla.
I'm Heidi.
And we're the Butcher Babies.
And you are watching AMBY.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia from AMBY, and I'd like to welcome you to an interview with Butcher Babies. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
We're great. We love Toronto, so we're happy to be here and ready for a great night.
I just took a big long nap, so I'm feeling good and ready for tonight.
All nice and refreshed?
Sort of. Don't smell my breath yet, though, so.
Stay back.
Stay over there.
You had the most insane night the other night in Chicago. It was crazy just to see the massive pit that you had going. Seems like you really like to embrace the monsters ball.
That's a good way to put it, yeah, of course. We grew up in the pit, and so for us, that is where we feel comfortable, and seeing people lose their minds and seeing that pit erupt really energizes us, and I think the entire crowd, even if you're not standing in it.
You definitely know how to rock a stage. This is my first time seeing you tonight, but I've seen photographs of you jumping. It looks like 10 feet high in the air. Before you get on, how do you get amped for that? Is it hearing the chants for Butcher Babies?
A little bit of that, and I think naturally we love to perform. We love being on stage. So for us, we don't really need much to get us excited about being out there. We're out here living our dreams. So every time we step onto the stage, we're automatically on and ready to go. And plus, when we have a great crowd like we did in Chicago the other night, it's very easy to feed off that energy and want to give even more, give 110%, because the crowd really does get us going.
I think we've had a good crowd
Pretty
this
much
entire tour.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Chicago was a great one, but we've had it just great every night on this tour. The fan base has been incredible, and they've really shown up to party. It's like they know that that's what we came for. So.
And Heidi, is it true that you actually had a snowball fight warming up with Cradle of Filth the other day?
Actually, it was right after the show in Cleveland,
okay.
And it was snowing, and it was a couple of us from Butcher Babies, a couple from Neo, and a couple from Cradle, and we all it was so fun, just throwing snowballs at each other for about a good hour.
Wow.
So that was a nice warm up. My shoulder was sore the next day, but I'm ready for another one. Show those boys what's up.
You've been playing a lot of shows too at some of your old stomping grounds. I know for you, Carla, you played a show in Detroit the other night.
Yeah, we played at St. Andrews Hall, which is a place that I saw all my favorite shows when I was a kid. So it was pretty cool, and they have a nightclub down below called The Shelter, which is where I spent every single Friday night at. So it's really cool to go and revisit these places. I mean, St. Andrews Hall is a very iconic place, regardless of I had seen shows there or not. So it's very cool, and my bandmates got to see downtown Detroit for the first time, so it's cool.
For when you think back to some of the shows you saw at those old stomping grounds for both of you, which ones stick out to you the most or were the most memorable from when you were a kid?
I would say for me, one of them that was the most memorable was AFI. I know it's a little bit of a different genre, but AFI, I remember that was one of the first times that I truly just kind of decided that I was gonna for sure be Davey Havoc. Just his stage presence and everything. I remember, but that's when I saw, in my hometown in Salt Lake City, a lot of shows didn't come through there, and if they did, I wasn't really allowed to go. So it wasn't until I started working at a radio station that I started going every single chance I had, and just and living in that pit, living in that moment, and that was a really neat moment for me.
Going back to St. Andrews Hall, I think the first time I saw Marilyn Manson was mid-90s, there before he was, hugely famous, and he was such an intense performer, and he was so weird looking and so dynamic, and it really, same as Heidi said, it made me, know even more so that I had to be a performer. So again, that
we
was
had
St.
to be
Andrews
the weirdos.
Hall. So it was a pretty incredible to be on that stage where I saw one of my idols as a kid playing at for the first time.
And now you're playing songs off of your new album, Take It Like a Man. A lot of the songs on the album are inspired by serial killers or real-life horror stories or things that would actually scare the shit out of both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did your fascination with things like that begin?
For me, it began in youth. I was always fascinated by, death, and I think we've all been kind of motivated by the things that scare us. I mean, fear is a very real thing, and the one thing that can, get you moving, I think. We've overcome so much in our lives that primal fear is one of the few things that is left that's, like, enticing, I think, sometimes to people.
And that's exactly how it's been our entire career. We both, I think ever since we even met, almost 10 years ago, that's something that we were both enthralled by. Oh, did you hear about this story? Oh, did you see this movie? Did you hear about, this that happened in the 20s? And we have to write something about it and do the research. And
we actually do. I remember sitting in my living room with Heidi, and we wrote our song, The Grim Sleeper. We did hours and hours of research on this one particular serial killer that really fascinated us, and took notes sitting there together, and it's really fun to do stuff like that. And like, can you believe this? He did this. Oh my God.
You kind of just get caught up, and next thing you know, you're on there for hours.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I even heard of Slipknot, I was a kid, and I would tell my parents I was going running, and I would run away to the skate park and hang out with the metal kids for the day. And the first time I saw anything about them, it was a kid wearing a t-shirt of Slipknot, and it scared me. And I had to know exactly what it was, and that became my fascination and my obsession at that age. So it's just, I think that's just what we're driven by.
Then you're also really into horror films.
Mm-hmm.
That's another driving force behind a lot of your songs lyrically. The ultimate horror film for both of you.
I always talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre just because it's my all-time favorite. It's one that I'll always go back to. I love the starkness of, horror movies from back in the day. And the female character did all of her own stunts. That was actually her running around and jumping onto things. And I just think it's so cool. Actresses are spoiled these days. They don't do that stuff. they have body doubles. And
I was a stunt person, so I know exactly what she means.
It was low budget and just, she did everything. And, it was all real and primal for her. She was out of breath, and it was, it's just pretty amazing to watch, knowing that she did everything on her own.
I would have to say she loves it the old school way, and the old school one is nice and fun and everything, but the new Evil Dead just really grabbed me.
That creeped me out.
I think it was so well done, and it brought in so many elements of the original that were obviously completely necessary but updated, and they found a way for it to really creep you out, whereas the first one was kind of a little comical. And I really enjoyed that. Another new one I really liked was It Follows. I thought that was so creative and so interesting the way that they did it. A lot of movies seem to kind of replicate and regurgitate each other, and that one was pretty original.
The photo I really loved seeing, I wore my Batman shirt in tribute. This throwback Thursday you did when you were with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at Comic-Con. Yeah. Such a great photo of both of you.
We saw them and we dropped everything, like, we have to! We were doing a meet and greet, or
because you also had your own comic book.
There.
Yeah, we did, and comic culture and heavy metal culture go together very well, and it's really fun to go to the cons and hang out with fans and fangirl a little bit over some Ninja Turtles and and other people cosplaying and everything. We had a blast that night. We went to a Star Wars ball.
Oh wow!
It was amazing.
Fun. Describe to me what a Star Wars ball is exactly.
It is exactly what you would think it is.
Yeah?
A bunch of Comic-Con people getting together. But the thing to us that we both noticed was that this is a fringe culture, and these people who the outside world may consider to be nerds, they are so comfortable with themselves and so excited and so into who they are and what they're doing and what they're a part of, and it was so refreshing.
It was like being at a metal show.
Yeah.
it
was so refreshing to go in there and
attitude.
See these kids and these adults just lose their mind at the Star Wars dance party, have fun without looking around to see who's watching them and who thinks they're cool or whatever. They just were in the moment, which a lot of people aren't these days. And people aren't in the moment enjoying themselves. At metal shows they are, at these Comic-Cons they are, and it's amazing to watch.
It's so incredible to hear you say that, because for me, when I was younger, I went to almost every Comic-Con that came through Toronto, and it was just such a release for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for you to notice that's really very neat. I'm also enjoying your Motivation Monday posts, and what I really liked was about goals and just not becoming complacent with what you're doing, always having the next goal set and just always wanting to reach that. What is the next goal for both of you?
All in our entire career, we've decided at the very beginning that we take everything in small goals. And I think that is a great way to consistently drive yourself. And, right now, our next goal, we just accomplished a bunch of great little ones. The next one, we're heading to Europe and, trying to extend our fan base there. But the next one after that is we want to get together and write a real diverse, kick-ass third album. Something completely, something different, something people wouldn't expect, something fun, and that's going to be our next legit goal.
Same.
What
she said.
Have you started on that at all, or are you taking
everyone in the band is always writing.
Okay.
That's just kind of the brains that we have. If we're in our bunks at night, we're jotting down lyrics. If we hear something, if we're out walking around and we hear a bum say something incredibly amazing, we're jotting it down. We take in our surroundings and just really are always thinking about what we can use from our world. We've seen so much in the past few years traveling all over the world that it's like we have inspiration coming all over the place, and that inspiration needs to go somewhere.
It hits you at all angles all the time.
What's one of the more bizarre angles? Because you mentioned a couple of there, one that would maybe stick out to you.
I mean, it could be anything from a brief moment at the meet and greet to even sitting here, to interactions with people who don't respect you. That could be a very huge one. And in fact, I think that really is a huge one. And, finding respect for yourself when some people don't have it for you, and knowing that your dream is important to you and many other people, regardless of what someone might ever say.
That's a very good point. We have a lot of people come to us at the merch booth. We'll be having a bad day, and we'll feel like you're away from your friends, your family, everything. You're home, and you get very lonely at times and despondent. And then someone will come to you at the merch booth and they'll say, "Thank you so much for what you do. Don't ever stop doing it. We need people like you in this." And I think it really motivates both of us to keep going and know that we're on the right path. And all of those new feelings for us after being on the road 4 years straight have really gone into our writing and made it so much different than it was 4 years ago before we hit the road.
That's amazing to hear. I just want to say congrats on everything, too.
Thank you.
I love just looking through my feed whenever either of your, because I follow both of you individually, whenever it comes up or I see those gives you a little kick in the ass to want to do something even better.
Thank you. That's what we hope to do, so thank you.
No problem. Just to wrap things up today, for all of your fans who are going to be viewing the interview, anything you want to say to them all?
Just, we're hitting the road, obviously. Come see us. Thanks for the support.
Just
Thank you.
No, seriously, that's our number one thing is thank you, because without any of our fan base supporting us and backing us and, even getting involved with the things we do personally, her art, my art, the different things that, we put out there, people really allow us to be ourselves and they allow us to perform our art. And without that, we wouldn't have an outlet for it. So thanks.
And a big thanks to both of you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And remember to everybody viewing, visit us at amusicblogya.com for all exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more with your favorite bands. We'll see you next time.